In the vast, untamed wilderness of the American West, where wild Mustangs roam free, an extraordinary story of trust and desperation unfolded. It was a day like any other for rancher Mark, checking his fences under the expansive blue sky. Suddenly, he noticed a lone Mare, a wild Mustang, acting strangely near his property line. She was frantic, pacing back and forth, her eyes filled with a panic that transcended the barrier between human and animal. She'd approach the fence, whinny loudly, and then retreat, only to repeat the desperate dance. Mark, a seasoned rancher who understood the language of the wild, knew this was no ordinary behavior. A wild horse approaching a human so boldly meant one thing: trouble. Intrigued and concerned, Mark slowly approached the fence. The Mare didn't bolt as he expected. Instead, she stood her ground, her gaze fixed on him, a silent plea in her intelligent eyes. It was a look that spoke volumes, a desperate cry for help. Cautiously, Mark opened the gate. The Mare didn't run onto his property. Instead, she turned and trotted a short distance away, looking back as if to say, "Follow me." Mark's heart pounded. He knew he was witnessing something truly special. Trusting his instincts and the unspoken request of this beautiful wild creature, he followed her into the rugged terrain. The Mare led him through winding trails and across rocky ground, her pace urgent. Every few moments she would glance back, ensuring he was still there, her whinnies growing more anxious. Mark's years on the ranch had taught him to read the land and its inhabitants, but this was a first. Never had a wild Mustang sought him out, let alone led him on a mission. He could feel the weight of her trust, a heavy and humbling responsibility. After what felt like an eternity, she stopped abruptly at the edge of a steep, muddy ravine carved out by recent heavy rains. Her frantic whinnies now turned into soft, mournful nickers. Mark's eyes followed her gaze, and his heart dropped. There, at the bottom of the ravine, trapped in the thick, unforgiving mud, was a tiny foal. The little one was exhausted, barely able to lift its head, its small body trembling from cold and fear. The mother Mare looked from her trapped baby to Mark, her eyes begging for a miracle. The situation was dire. The mud was like quicksand, and the foal was sinking deeper with every struggle. The Mare couldn't get down the steep, slippery banks without getting trapped herself. She had done the only thing she could think of. She had sought help from the one species she was taught to fear. Mark knew he had to act fast, but this was a perilous rescue. The ravine was unstable, and a wrong move could be disastrous for both him and the foal. He quickly raced back to his truck, his mind racing to formulate a plan. He grabbed ropes, a blanket, and a shovel. The mother Mare watched his every move, her anxiety palpable, but she didn't interfere. It was as if she understood he was her only hope. Returning to the ravine, Mark began the slow and dangerous process of securing his footing and figuring out the best way to reach the foal without causing a mudslide. He carefully looped a soft lariat, a skill honed over decades of ranch work. He needed to get it around the foal's body without hurting it. The little horse was weak and scared, and Mark spoke to it in a calm, soothing voice. "It's okay, little one. We're going to get you out of there." The Mare watched from above, her whinnies a constant, worried chorus. After several tense attempts, Mark finally managed to slip the rope securely under the foal's chest and behind its front legs. Now came the hardest part, the pull. Bracing himself against a sturdy rock, Mark began to pull, slowly and steadily. The mud had a powerful grip, and the foal was heavier than it looked. His muscles strained, the rope cutting into his hands. It was a battle of strength and endurance against the raw power of nature. He could hear the Mare's increasingly frantic calls from the top of the ravine, a desperate soundtrack to his struggle. For a moment it seemed impossible. The foal was barely moving. But Mark refused to give up. He thought of the mother's incredible act of trust and found a new reserve of strength. With a final, mighty heave, the mud released its grip. The foal came free, sliding up the muddy bank. It was caked in mud, shivering, and completely spent, but it was alive. Mark quickly wrapped the little creature in the blanket he'd brought, rubbing it vigorously to generate warmth and stimulate circulation. the foal was too weak to stand. As Mark worked, the mother Mare cautiously made her way down a less steep part of the ravine. She approached slowly, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and gratitude. She nudged her baby gently, then looked at Mark, a soft nicker escaping her lips. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated thanks. Mark knew the foal needed more than just warmth. It needed to stand and nurse to survive the ordeal. He gently lifted the little one, supporting its wobbly legs until it could find its footing. It was shaky, but it was standing. Immediately, the foal leaned against its mother, seeking the comfort and nourishment it so desperately needed. The Mare patiently allowed her baby to nurse, her eyes never leaving Mark. In that moment, the barrier between wild and domestic, between man and beast, completely dissolved. There was only a shared sense of relief and a profound connection. Mark stayed with them for a long while, watching from a respectful distance to ensure the foal was recovering its strength. The little horse, now clean and warm, began to show signs of its youthful energy, nuzzling its mother and even taking a few playful steps. The Mare, no longer frantic, was the picture of maternal calm. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Mark knew it was time to leave them be. He backed away slowly, his heart full. The Mare watched him go, and just before he disappeared over the rise, she let out one last soft whinny. It wasn't a cry of distress or a warning, but a clear and simple goodbye. Mark returned to his ranch a changed man. The encounter left a deep impression on him, a powerful reminder of the intelligence, emotion, and deep family bonds that exist in the animal kingdom. He often found himself looking out towards the hills, hoping for a glimpse of the brave Mare and her resilient foal. And sometimes he'd see them, a pair of silhouettes running free against the horizon. The story of the Mustang who asked the rancher for help became a local legend, a testament to the incredible day when a mother's love broke all the rules and proved that compassion is a universal language. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible tales from the wild.